And Marcos asked a good question. He was asking, can we assume the communication between in the demo, the front end and the back end is using a REST API? And I'm sure you can talk about that, Chris, is that we can, but could you elaborate a little bit more on that, on how the message are actually routed and how services are exposed across the application network that allow like a container, like the front end and the back end, to use a REST API as if it were local to the cluster?
Sure. So good question, Marcos. So of course, the front end and the back end are created by the devs, the software writer half of the DevOps team. And the devs will have an API. They'll have an HTTP listener in, say, for example, the back end, which allows the front end communication to hit those APIs. So really, it's the backend developers that are developing the APIs and determining what the backend will communicate to the front end. But the problem with having the backend and the front end in two different clouds is there's no connectivity path. There's no actual communication path between the front end and the backend. So while the APIs are determined by the backend developers, it's Nethopper that's providing that connectivity between the front end and the backend. And let's say, for example, the backend was a database with all sorts of super private information, like customers' credit cards that the front end might want to display to the customer, or other private information. You would hope that the backend developer would authenticate anybody asking for that information, require encryption of both directions of that communication so that the credit card numbers are never in the clear. And many backend developers will do that. However, Nethopper guarantees that that communication is encrypted, because when that communication, we connect the front end to the back end across multiple clouds, and we make sure that all that communication is encrypted. So there's no chance for anybody to do a man-in-the-middle attack or get in the clear any of that information in flight as it traverses from the front end to the back end.
Thank you, Chris. Good answer. Yeah. So in short, it's like the backend container running on a different cluster would appear on the front end cluster through the application network. So you could use a REST API directly as if you were on the same cluster. So thank you.